Well, welcome back to the World's Fair wrap-up show, and in fact, you joined right in as our guest. So we've got Sean and Ryan are back, right? Woohoo! Jason is joining in from Wisconsin, and then Mark has joined us from all over in the West Coast to have a little conversation here. And about that time I do that, Mark freezes on me. So hopefully,
yeah, he's frozen. Your camera's off. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, I figure the studio camera's in here messing with me.
Oh, gotcha.
So everybody chimed in right about the time that I was mentioning that I was surprised that Casey Matthew didn't punch Larry in the Refinish episode where Larry said something about any monkey can spray paint. So,
and glad you brought it up again. Yeah. So next year we're having a chimpanzee come in here with an orangutan. We'll have a paint-off race.
No, I'm just saying, if that's one of the replay moments, I think so we got to start a wrap-up show somewhere, right? So like top highlight replay moments, that moment in the Refinishing show. So the painter and blueprinter from week 1. And just fast forward to the part where you can like see Casey like do the whiplash stare, like, did that guy just call me a monkey? I mean, that's awesome.
No, I was trying to prove the point that there's more to it than just applying paint, but nobody wanted to listen.
No, because you called him a monkey.
But he said any monkey can apply paint.
Right.
And there's Casey, and I thought he was going to. Good thing there was a couple people between you because he was ready to deck you. I mean, that would have been a show unto itself too. But whatever.
I would have owned YouTube at that point. I mean, I could have monetized that video and retired. Larry gets beat up by Casey Matthew on.
Painters can also fight.
Oh, not really well, but now I'm going to get in trouble for all of that too, right? So, all right, Jason, what's your best takeaway? What's your blooper moment or best moment?
Well, I don't know if a blooper moment. I think most of the blooper moments took place off screen, fortunately, or unfortunately for the viewers maybe. But I think one of my biggest takeaways, honestly, is, and we've got Sean and Ryan on here, and I think it just, we've had all these experts, right, on here, and we opened the show with your critical conversations piece, and I've been talking about being, humility for 2 weeks now, and to hear people like Sean and Ryan, like I watched the show. I was on an airplane yesterday, so I missed it. I watched Sean this morning and talking about like was it that OE? Or, it's like he's trying to remember which OE recommends something, and then we got Jake who's done so many things with scanning and diagnostics, and we got Josh and Eric who've done so much of it, and all these experts talking about how they don't know everything, right? And I just think it really speaks to how much the vehicle's changed. And I may have the quote a little bit wrong, but my one of my favorite quotes was from Josh. I think it was from Josh when he said that it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing this, we all have the exact same experience level on the 2022 models.
Yep.
And that's none. And I think that again, all these experts talking about how you need to continually do research and look for information. And then Larry shared a post about the real body man out there not teaching the young guys how to repair things. It just really speaks to it, I think, and just. Nobody knows everything, and we've got to continually get better and continually research and learn new things, and that's really been my big takeaway.
Your only easy day was yesterday.
I don't know. Yesterday I had to keep up with you all alone. I mean, Jason wasn't here, Mark wasn't here. I mean, that wasn't a very easy day yesterday. At least this one I get to put you on a plane.
Right, exactly.
So there's that. Mark, what's your takeaway from the fair? We got you for a week. We didn't get you for the full 2 weeks, but.
Well, what's funny is just a couple things, and they've already been said, but I'll just recant them. But so, what was so great was, okay, so we get together, we're going to do that show on using the owner's manual. So Jason and I are getting ready, and we're just sitting there talking, and it's like, hey, Jason, before we do the show, I probably should look at your slide deck, make sure we know what we're doing here and this and that. And I'm like, and I do a lot with Subaru, as you know. And there's things I was like, really? That I didn't know, that, I should know, but I didn't. And so I got a little humbled there and that kind of thing. And then, Jason, you just stole my thunder on what Josh said, which is, we should talk before we give our highlights next time. Yeah, I mean, I don't care how long you've been in this business. A new model comes out, we're all at the same level, period. And then and even more further to that was the value of an expert. And so it was either Eric or Josh in that same segment with AirPro. They basically said, okay, so that you got a radio code and the radio code pops up on the scan, and you dig a little deeper and you find out that it's actually the shutter and the grill that's causing the radio code. It's like, oh my God, what the, it really is to the level of who's the expert. You got to get to the expert, and nobody here knows everything about everything. Like I said earlier, I sat there with Daniel, and I painted a lot of cars, but I learned so much about Kelvins and all kinds of lighting issues, and all these. I was like, well, this. Although I was involved in the first week doing a lot of stuff, I just kept watching because I learned so much myself. It was freaking great.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff there. So I got a little pop-up message that Jake, not Jake from State Farm, Jake has joined in on the live show, and that was a big one as well, to be talking about secure gateway, what the Nissans were, what FCA has, how these scan tools aren't maybe what a lot of shops think they are, and they don't do what a lot of shops think they do, and the scan tool isn't telling you when it's not doing the whole job.
Exactly.
And that's, God, I think there's a lot of people after that show that have to reconsider maybe what's in their shop, what they're using.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Krista, how much hate mail have you gotten, or hate email?
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of email, a lot of direct messages on social media, a lot of, yeah.
We found 3 dead chickens on our porch this morning, so we think that's a message. We're not sure, but we think somebody's trying to send a message.
It just is what it is. I think that's what, that's what Collision Hub's, I don't want to say purpose or role has been, but if it's affects the customer and truth is truth, then that's what we're going to say. So let the chips fall where they may.
Exactly.
That being said, maybe we got a few of those messages, but the overwhelming support from the industry and the Chubb family, all the Chubb scouts out there, has blown me away, and I've gotten so many more, just genuine thank yous and keep up the great job and love what you guys are doing, than I've ever had, before. And I think it's a testament to the people that we brought together, all the organizations that supported this, the people that were involved there. They want to share their insight and expertise with the industry, and make that available to everybody. Can continue to educate the industry, and they want to share their new tools and equipment and methods and stuff like that. But it was about education, and like I said, the personal satisfaction that we, and the gratitude that we received from everybody was very humbling.
Well, this is the next step, right? This wasn't a webinar. So we get to see Ryan and Sean's faces where we couldn't see them yesterday, right?
Right.
They were the masked man robbing.
They were robbing 3M, yes.
So we got them, face to face because they're in their homes, separated from each other. But it wasn't a webinar. It was real live demos, and we were, touching and feeling and moving around the shop and doing a lot of things. And I think everyone was ready for a not webinar experience, and have the training that way. And it just validated that you can do a lot over the internet. Some things are better hands-on and in person, but then there are some things we can do over the internet. And Sean and Ryan, you guys have been doing that since COVID. You guys have been hosting online training kind of in that format, which is why you had that great setup. How's that been going for y'all?
For me, today was like we're coming down from this extreme high of COVID-19, and we were all kind of, thrown for a loop, as everybody was in the industry. And, it's pretty, Jason mentions humbling and everything else. I was looking back at, my numbers today, and we're, basically we're at this time in 3M where we're trying to justify why they need to keep us employed. And, I looked at some of the numbers from this year, and when you consider the fact that, I had 4,094 devices tuned into webinars since March, that to me shows me that there's still more need, for education in the industry. And it was excellent to be a part of this, because as a technician, like I mentioned yesterday, something that I've always wanted more of, and to really be a part of this and be partnered with Sean and some great people within 3M and like you guys. We're connected offline as well, and we send, emails and messages and kind of joke around, but I think overwhelmingly, like you said, 2022, we're all we're all idiots with the new models that are coming out, and we have the luxury of being able to research and look up information and share it with the industry and keep the industry moving forward. So it's been a really good experience. It was different at first, and involved. We saw yesterday, we got to be back in the lab, but we still had to wear masks, and who knows what 2021 has to bring. But we're hoping that it keeps moving forward in a good direction.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe you guys know the efforts that I had to go through just to get us going with this with you guys, right? It was, I had to be a bulldog, man, and just keep going after them. Hey, what are we doing? What are we doing? So it took a lot of effort to just, get involved with this. So that just kind of shows you how important I think it is. I mean, I could not imagine us not participating in this. So I just kept after it until we finally got the right attention and everything. But yeah, it's like Mark said, not everybody can know everything. There's just no way. And every one of us on this call has that passion for learning as much as we can and absorbing it all. And I think that's what it's all about. And that's the kind of people that you reach too, right? You reach those people that are hungry to learn. And we all know there's guys out there that doesn't matter what you do, they don't want to learn. They don't care. That's just a job. They go home at night and don't worry about it. And then there's the other guys that are, it's their life. So, congrats to you guys for putting this all together. I was watching today with the tape thing. Was that Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was watching that today, and those are the kind of people you get, right? He's a great guy and creative guy, and always learning, coming up with new things, and so that's what's interesting to watch with all this stuff. And I didn't get to see the one with the owner's manual. I'm going to have to go back and see that. And the reason is I take all kinds of crap from people because I don't care what I get. I always read the manual every single time. And most people don't do that, and they don't realize how much is in there that there's no way you would have known unless you would have read that owner's manual, So I want to see that one. That sounds like a really good program. But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from your whole session here is that it's really getting guys to think about those OEM procedures and going and looking them up. And I think if they haven't been doing that in the past, they're starting to realize how many things they can miss. So up for you guys for doing all that and bringing that attention.
Yeah. And so one of the reasons that how Sean and Ryan kind of ended up on this wrap-up show was when Sean and I were preparing for this event, we started talking about just how much things have changed since his career started, through my career, and then kind of on to Ryan. Ryan's a little bit younger than we are. I think it's pretty obvious, but the most punchable face and the youngest, so we got a couple things going against him. But I think, and now here we are. I mean, we've been training virtually and educating the industry for 2 weeks. Certainly, when you started, Sean, in the 80s, and I started in the 90s, and even in the 2000s, and last year we went to thought a virtual show like we just did would even be possible. People have been asking how it's been going, and I've been saying, I'm not really sure what my expectations were, but whatever they were, this whole 2-week event has far exceeded those expectations. I think it's just been amazing. And I think I think it really is, to your point, John, a testament to the people that have been involved in it and their passion for the industry and doing the right things, making sure their vehicles are repaired properly, and not having to worry about anything else. Let's just fix the car properly.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how far we've come.
So
I think if there's one real positive, and from the 3M side for sure, one real positive from all this is that we got people to use the virtual type of learning to do it through this because there was no choice. Basically kicking and screaming, they had to learn how to do this and be comfortable with it. And now they're there, right? So that's a great thing, because I know even our sales guys trying to get people to do a Zoom meeting with us before all this happened, there's no way they would even do it. But just because there's no choice, it really got a lot of people comfortable with the technology. So I think that's a great thing for the industry.
Well, I'll give you guys just a few numbers. So Monday I came in and I had gotten asked by one of the companies participating, kind of what do the numbers look like? Are people actually joining and doing this? So
I know my mom watched.
Yeah.
And I think I had
she
two
was
cousins
sending me, your mom was sending me notes too, by the way.
So I think we had like 5 people.
But so Monday morning I looked at the first week's numbers. I have not looked at the numbers again since then. I will run them all again Sunday at the end of the week and see. But as of Monday of this week, the first weeks of viewing had over 50,000 individual IP users, and we had gotten over 10,000 replays already on YouTube. So, I mean, I kind of figured, hey, I'm going to get a lot of the YouTube replays coming up, maybe a little bit further toward the end of the year. But that's just phenomenal, for the first week. Now, they might have said, I'm done with you guys after the first week. The second week's numbers might not be that good. But definitely that was a great crowd, and to do an online event and to keep coming back every day, and so many people was the same people every day kind of giving us the hashtag, letting us know they were there, and that was good. So one of the things I want to do, guys, is I kind of want to go and recap kind of the week and kind of go through some of the shows and talk about some of the things that came out. We opened up Monday with 4 fantastic hard-hitting shows. And a couple of things there. Well, we had the Crucial Conversations, but we had iCar RTS in. And I think we got to show people a really good way of going and using iCar's resources and everything that they have available to us that right now is free, right? There's no having to pay to get that resource. And then we talked about the OEM research process. And, Mark, we were talking about our PPE, little acronym, our parts, processes, and electrical. And I started hearing from some of your people that there's some stickiness there, that's helping some folks.
Yeah. Well, actually, I sent it out as soon as we shot it. I sent it out to all my people out in the field and all over the country, and I said, when you're working with our monthly shops, not on the OEM level, but on our monthly subscribers, start talking to them this way. And I tell you, I said, of course, give Pliznub the credit for the acronym and the process, but it's actually made a big difference in how shops think about how they're doing estimates. So, my past was always PPE, is always personal protection equipment, but PPE is now an estimating process that is sticking. It's been pretty cool. I've gotten some emails and some texts from some shop owners going, I don't know what you told my people, but they're doing stuff different. So that show had some pretty big impact.
Yeah, and I like it when I get to hear that something kind of made some stickiness out of it, because sometimes, we were talking before everybody got to join us, and Mark's wanting to know the agenda, and Jason and Larry and I are like, we haven't had an agenda for the whole 2 weeks. Why now do you want one, right?
Why stop? We're doing a good thing now.
Right. We're usually like 5 minutes before air going, hey, what do you want to talk about today? I don't know how that goes. But then we came back Tuesday, and that's when we had the Owner's Manual show, and I think we've talked about kind of some of the things that jumped out there. I heard a lot of feedback. So, I know that we were all surprised at some of the information we were hearing, but I've heard a lot of good feedback from people going that it's now part of their negotiation routine with the customer, right? Part of that sales process. It's helping them have better conversations with the customer, which is good. And then I really want to talk about, on Tuesday of week 1, we launched 2 brand new products, Jason. So we had ADAS Think, and then we had Opus come on and launch the new ScanSafe tool with the interface with CCC. Got any insights there? Any feedback on how that's going?
Well, the ADAS Think thing has been blowing up. We started working with Nick, last month sometime, before SEMA's event, before our event. He was quickly named, the SEMA Best New Product of this year, which I think was awesome. He had gotten, connecting with the Collision Hub team, over 150 beta testers, within a couple of days of making that announcement. So I know he's quite happy with the feedback that we've had, and I know he's got a lot. His phone and email have been blowing up since partnering up with us and being on the show, and I know he's pretty excited about it. The ScanSafe tool, I think, has been I haven't heard as much, but they've got a lot bigger network and channels than Nick does. But I do know personally, I think it's a cool tool because of the flexibility it offers, being able to do some kind of quick scan stuff and use it as a as an aftermarket tool to capture some codes, and then all the way through the OEM support and the technical support that they offer with with subject matter experts. I think that whole suite and that package that they've got and that flexibility does make it a cool tool, and we will have a cool tools episode on it in the not too distant future. So certainly keep your eyes open for that. But yeah, I think those two launches went quite well, and I think those companies are quite happy with the results so far.
Yeah,
let me throw my 2 cents in from the field on 8S Think. So again, when I'm doing these things, I immediately pump it out to my team out in the field. They pump it out, and a couple of shops jumped right in on it, and I got the feedback from them pretty immediately. They said, we're probably not going to do every single car 2003 or whatever, but if we're getting 2012 and up, we're going to drag them, drop them, and where they are. And then I also worked with a couple of my OE partners and said, watch this video. And what was ironic about that was where, especially with one of my partners, Subaru, which is, that the Mitchell Autotex and CCC system doesn't properly decode an Impreza. You know that, right? And they're like, what? Here, watch this video. And so they started getting kind of in line on that too. So the response I've been getting back, and in the shops that have been using that product, because there was the free subscription, until late last week, was what we signed up. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that one. That's just a great product. So if you're watching the wrap up and there's a show you missed from week 1, go back and look at 8S Think, and then also you can think about, the very next show after that was Opus with the ScanSafe product and how it integrates with CCC. So those are really great ones. And then Wednesday, we had kind of this really cool thing, Jason, that you got to do with TradyBot and General Motors, which was the kind of that virtual reality train. Like I felt like I had to have my VR goggles on to watch that video.
Yeah, augmented reality. So they've got some VR products as well, but the virtual reality or the augmented reality part of it is just really cool because you can actually get in there and look at the vehicle. And I've seen some other demonstrations. If you look up the TradyBot Industries website, they've got some other demos on there, not related to the Silverado Sierra that we put together for them, but where you can see all the fasteners and where they're located and how to take them out, and they remove a bumper cover. It's a really cool technology. And for us to, if we want to shoot that video, for example, with a real life video, we have to find a truck. We'd have to, tear down the truck. We'd have to, we have to buy the parts for it. It would be a major production. Not to say that it wasn't a major production on the TradyBot side of things, but we worked with GM. GM got TradyBot Industries the CAD files for it. We went through the procedure, developed the script, worked with GM on finalizing that script, and then the TradyBot team in Macedonia just stitch it together and manipulate everything. We can move things around and take things off and put things on. It was just the technology is so cool from a learning standpoint. And it was a little bit longer video by design, but I think if as we move into the future and we want more and more OEM training, I can see us doing a lot more things with the OEs and with TradyBot, where again, if it's removing door trim panels or how to section a rail and location and where the spot welds should go and where the plug welds should go and where the open butt or it's just the technology is really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking, as I was watching that, I was thinking about some of the stuff that Ryan does and some of the training and combining that with the technology or the not the technology but the knowledge around the adhesives and the seam sealers and the rivets and all that stuff. I just thought, God, that's a cool tool. So, Ryan, no pressure, but sometimes I'm going to need you to go back and watch that episode because I got some ideas. Okay, then let's be honest. Thursday came around, and I think the whole entire industry, even around the world, is in love with Danian. Do we all agree?
Danian's a rock star. He is. Speaks well, smart. Just one of the guys. I mean, he's a rock star.
Yeah, I think.
Package, eh?
Yeah, I think everybody was trying to figure out how to. I mean, the things he was sharing. Him and Chris Springer from SADA came in, so we had Chris Springer there, and I was with you, Mark. I've been painting for a while since I was a kid, and they were saying stuff that I had never heard of before, and I felt a little dumb.
Electricity?
Yeah, like electricity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it's Arkansas, Larry. I got somebody out on a bike back there spinning the wheels so we can do the show. Your expectations are high, right? All right. Well, then we rolled into week 2.
Kristen, hold on one second before we get up to Danian topic. Little self promotion for us. What if somebody want to learn more from Daniel? Is there a way for them to do that?
There he is. So if you were one of the people that fell in love with Danian during the World Fair, Danian hosts our Refinish C20 group, and that 20 group meets monthly. It's for painters and preppers, is what it's designed to do. And they talk about all of the things that Danian was kind of sharing on the fair. He's in the middle of a 3-month series on color, how to handle color matching and things in your shop. A lot of people, when we launched a 20 group for painters, thought we were just really kind of dumb. Like, what do painters need a 20 group for? What am I going to get out of this? Why would I want to do it? And we have shops coming back and telling us that they are seeing a dramatic boost in profitability in their paint department. We've got one painter at a dealership that's in it, and he came back on recently and told us that he had increased the net by 10%. That's significant to be able to raise your net that way. And so I have a whole lot of shops going, well, how many more people can I put in the group? And now, honestly, it's a rooftop pricing, so you could put your whole shop, your estimators, your preppers, your painters, your detailers, for the rooftop pricing. Everybody in the shop can have training, but a phenomenal group that I think there's a lot of painters also in the group that didn't think that they were going to get to learn anything out of it. Now, it's probably one of the more popular groups between Larry and estimating and refinish.
Yep.
Those groups are growing leaps and bounds. So
I think that really highlights something that, bodymen have always said, that painters really need all the help they can get. I'll just leave that there.
It deals with a lot more chemistry than people realize. For mixing the colors, the application of the colors, making it actually stick to the vehicle. It was funny, somebody put up today on Facebook about using 2 different pressures that he learned in Daniel's class, and showed that a 3-pound pressure difference changed the gray color, or it was more like a charcoal gray or a dark gray. And then he cleared it, and you can actually see on one straight piece, it's not bent or anything, but one straight piece of coupon or a piece of plastic or something, it changed color right at the line where he separated between the air pressures. So air pressure, distance, everything plays into this. There's a lot of chemistry and physics that go into it. There's physics and some chemistry that go into body repair also, but body repair is a lot more forgiving than paint, in many cases. So
Ryan's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, no.
No, I'm not talking adhesives. I'm talking regular body repair, metal working and putting body filler on. I'm not talking with the adhesives. And listen, you adhesive guys have made it simple for everybody. Follow our instructions and it works.
I just want, so officially, you made Casey mad calling him a monkey applying paint.
I didn't call him a monkey.
Now you have also made the body man mad.
I didn't make the body man mad.
Everybody followed Larry long enough on social media. He just has a way of just upsetting everybody and not having a damage. So that's
now there'll be conversations about everything.
I think, Kristen, yesterday we talked about 1K, 2K primers, and one of the things, going beyond, Larry, you're mentioning chemistry and the mechanics and in paint. One of the things that I found rather interesting is when I was digging into the chemistry of paint and talking with PPG and Axalta and Sherwin-Williams and Spies Hecker, and they were breaking down. They're like, well, wait a minute. If you're spraying with a 1.4 nozzle, that's not proper. You need to have a 1.6. And as a bodyman, I'm like, well, shit, I'll just turn the air pressure up.
Right, we'll figure it out.
Dear God, do you not read our tech data sheets? And I thought it was hilarious because Sean and I are always saying, did you read the tech data sheet? I mean, we have instructions for a reason. Paint companies, they have tech data sheets for a reason, talking about the proper tip size, atomization head, and all that, and then going into the number of coats that need to be applied. So there's a lot more to it than paint, in painting process. So I'm glad that group is going really well for you guys, because I think the industry as a whole, in all departments can always use a little bit more education.
Yeah, it's doing great.
Ryan, here's the problem. I've been doing this for 30 years. Why would I read a tech data sheet?
Well, yeah, why would I read a tech data sheet? We don't even get that from people that have been in the industry 30 years. People are just coming into the industry. Everybody wants everything done right here on their fancy mobile device. And so part of the struggle is, how do you transfer that information and keep it relevant, into a digital environment? But it goes along with one of the things that I've said, when I came in, and sort of the thing that I've noticed the most in the last 8 years, and when people have asked me, when I was a technician, young technicians would say, how do I, advance? What would be the best path for me to follow to get to that next level? And I always said, get into technology. As a bodyman myself, I was creating my own Excel spreadsheets. I had my iPad. I had apps on my phone. I would track all my own data, but then I also used it and would get access to gain repair procedures rather than walking over to the shop shared computer. A lot of shops now, they're supplying technicians, or they've got stations throughout the shop with computers or iPads or laptops or whatever have you. Technology, not only in how the cars are, we're talking pre and post scanning and all of that kind of stuff, but technology isn't going away, right? And I think this virtual world, and Kristen, what you guys have done here for the last 2 weeks, and those are amazing numbers. Congratulations on that. I think it shows the acceptance, finally the acceptance of the industry understanding, hey man, technology's not going away. I better find a way to get involved. I better find a way to tune into some of these webinars, whether it's during the day live or after the fact in a recorded session, maybe at home having a beer.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah, so nice segue.
I wanted to just go back for a second to the what was the comment, Larry? That bodymen. What?
No, I said that the bodyman.
How can you insult Sean again?
Easy. That's where I start as a bodyman. The bodymen don't have to worry. The bodymen weren't, no one realizes that the amount of chemistry that goes into paint, and the bodymen aren't as worried about the chemistry a lot, because look, you're working with metal, and then you apply your body filler. And outside of, listen, most of the old techs will tell you, outside of the Toyota, that the body filler used to roll off when you put it on sometimes, they would just resand it a couple of times until they finally figured a way for it to stick. Bodymen always had a way of figuring it out, and somehow, some way it would work, and we've seen it on Facebook. Painters can't just figure it out. Paint comes off, paint doesn't stick properly. There's a lot of chemistry that goes into it that Daniel's brought to the forefront that no one ever realized before, versus, the adhesive companies, you guys know, you write the paperwork on it. You follow our paperwork, it works. When it fails, and you guys go in and look at it and go, well, that's not our color, or you primed one side and left the other side bare metal, you didn't follow the instructions, it's easier. These paint reps got to come in and they look at this stuff and go, I'm not sure what happened here, or what went wrong here, or what went through, and then they got to start doing all sorts of testing, and it all goes back to the preparation work, temperature, and stuff like that. There's a lot of factors that no one realizes or even considers in painting, versus us as bodymen welders. We know it's colder out. We used to put honey in the body filler to make it move a little bit easier for us, or we put a heat lamp on a piece of metal because the metal was too cold. We apply a body filler, then it would dry too fast. So there's stuff we figured out, and body repair is a little more forgiving than paint, than paint working. Just like a welding steel is a little more forgiving than welding aluminum.
So I was actually going to agree with you, because that's one of the reasons I like to be a tech, was a metal guy, right? Because anything you screw up, you can fix, right?
Usually, yeah.
Glass. I always tell everybody, I can fix anything but glass, right? You get one shot.
Yeah, it doesn't glue back together well.
Yeah. So, no, I was going to agree, because, you could always figure a way, and that's why I love being a tech. You're a problem solver, right?
Yes.
There was no manual back then. You had to figure it out on your own how to do that. But that's where it has changed, right? Where, like I was talking about yesterday, you cut through a reinforcement now, you might not be able to fix that like you used to be able to, right? So that's where things have changed too, where, man, you could cut a panel short and then just weld a little patch in there or something in the past, but you just can't really do that kind of stuff anymore.
Measure once, cut 7 times, weld 8. Works out perfectly that way.
So,
I'm just going to say, there's because I'm a body tech, I'm not a painter. I'm colorblind, so whatever. But an old timer told me one time, he said, a body man's work should never be seen, and a painter's work is always seen. So when the customer looks at it, they can always see the painter, but if you do your job right as a body tech, you'll never see what you did. And then of course, the PRIs come in when they didn't do corrosion protection and cavity wax, and later on where, we'll see it later, but you shouldn't be able to see it coming out.
Yeah.
But
Well, and it's that's how things have changed too. And like Larry said, it's more forgiving, other than being body tech is more forgiving, but not when it comes to like dimensions anymore, right? Like the way cars are built now, man, you have to have everything right on the nose. You don't have adjustable hinges and things like that we used to have anymore either, right? Where you bolt the hood on and that's where it is. So you can't even move it half the time. So
well, they still make that step drill bit that comes in handy. You know, the machine make hole bigger.
Yeah.
You got a lot more adjustment that way. Just get bigger washes.
Yeah. Well, so while we're talking about technicians and what's changed for the body tech and technology and all the advancements that people are starting to finally grasp that technology, Jason, Monday of week 2, you made a huge announcement. And, you know, we got Sean's down there missing, you know, the room of the great welder guys or whatever. But talk a little bit about, you know, kind of what you're looking to do with a welding education program.
I don't know if I've been as excited about this program as in a long time for this. It's been pretty exciting for to finally get this rolled out there. But we announced the Collision Hub OEM virtual welding training and verification series, where we've got a couple of online courses on kind of, you know, the basic welder setup, machine settings, drive rolls, electrical wire, etc. Then followed by, you know, an OEM specific welding program on various OEMs on what they're expecting for electrical wire types and diameters, and, you know, what plug weld hole size they typically want, and what types of joints do they use, where to find the information in the manuals. Something that Sean touched on yesterday with, you know, some of the Honda parameters around spot welding, you know, where to find all that information in the OEM procedures. And then we're going to do a hands-on virtual welding coaching series where we're going to set shops up with an expert that's familiar with their equipment and walk them through to make sure that they can perform the required welds that a particular OEM requires. And once they're comfortable making those welds, we're gonna have a final test, if you will, for them on that particular OEM, where, again, that welding administrator, that welding coach is going to come into their shop virtually. We've got a stand that we've got, and we got, you know, wireless headphones. We're going to have two-way communication the whole time, and they're going to go and pull the procedures for that particular vehicle that they're going to be welding on, and kind of like a cooking show, and say, you know, hey, today I'm going to be making an open butt joint weld on this Toyota rocker panel with this particular electrode wire and this shielding gas. And then we're going to go through and see if they can make the required welds on that vehicle. And if they pass, that's awesome. We'll put that in their file. If they're not successful, they're going to have to come back and retest. We're not going to let them go have another shot at it. And we're going to make sure they can weld before we put our stamp on there. Everything's going to be recorded so we can audit if we need to. I'm excited about it. I had 2 more meetings this morning with OEMs. They're excited about it. They love that OEM approach, that it's actually validating that those technicians can weld on their vehicles. We're going to make sure it's that actual technician, get their IDs out or whatever we need to do. But yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting program. I think it's going to be very, very well received.
Yeah, I think it's going to bridge that gap. So on this side of the fence, we do a lot of training with the estimators and the repair planners about pulling OE repair procedures and doing what they need to do to write the estimate. And then over here, we take technicians and we do some really great and awesome welding training with them about types of welds. So the weld type, not necessarily specific to the OE. And then we dump them back in a shop together and we ask them both to try to get along. And then there's been this assumption that our body tech then knows how to go get all the additional information they need. So as an estimator, I don't need to have that Honda weld sheet and have all the different weld parameters. I just need to know that I need to do a couple of setup tests and I need to have some adhesive or something ready for my estimate. And then the body tech's the one who's been having to go find, a lot of times in multiple different places, to gather all of the different weld information to know even what those little symbols on the OE procedures mean and what type of weld. And then we ask them to go okay, take everything you thought you found, now go apply it to the car. And there's just been that little gap, and we're gonna fill that gap. We're gonna let the technician take the best of what he learned over here and have the research process kind of come together and then help them learn how to go, oh, here's how what I've learned applies to the car. Because, you know, you and I, we've been going into shops for the last, 10 years with people that have had access to some of the best training on the planet, and the owners have made available to them the world.
Right.
And we're still going to look at the cars going, wow, how'd you do that? Right? So being able to just have that little extra knowledge and having that virtual coach in your ear helping you learn how to do research when you can ask questions, no, I don't understand where that's at, and how did you find this, and where did that go, and and what research tool are you using, and us being able to make it specific. So if that shop's on all data, then we're going to help those shops learn on all data. If that shop is using the OE websites, then we're going to help them learn on the OE website. So that way they get to learn in their world, their environment, the way they want to. So I'm excited about it too, Jason.
Yeah, and I see Blaze chiming in. Blaze, thanks to you and Colin for participating in it, and Kyle and everybody else that's been active in getting there. And Blaze's technician is probably going to be the first one that goes through this and goes through the test. So looking forward to working with him again and getting him through this upcoming test. So I'll be reaching out to you pretty soon on that, Blaze. We'll get that scheduled.
Hey, you guys saw what we did for training on that little rail piece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Ryan and I stumbled on why the industry is so needs so much more work welding. We have the collision repair instructors come through, and they have to do that same exercise. Ryan, how many guys do you think would have passed the test from the instructors welding that open butt joint?
Let's just say that there's still a lot of help that needs to be had in the industry, and it starts not only at the bottom, but it also starts at the top.
Yeah.
I don't want to single out anybody, but we've seen some stuff that I think, Kristen, you made a point. You like you said, you walked into a shop and you look at stuff. We've had stuff where they'll leave, they'll go out to dinner for the night. We'll be getting the shop ready for the next morning, and you'll be astounded. How did you even accomplish, or even how did you even do? I don't know that I could intentionally do something like that. I need it. Like, you almost want to ask him the next day and pull him aside and be like, could you please show me what the heck happened here and how you did that? Because I'd like to recreate it. I'd like to show that this is what you don't do.
Yeah.
But they'll weld the whole butt joint, and then
But come on, buddy, tell me the truth. You had your eyes closed. That's what you did. It's got to be something like that. It's like you could have possibly been looking at it.
Sometimes that you see stuff that, and one of the things that Sean said to me early on, he goes, I was pretty sheltered, in the upper Midwest environment. I only worked at 2 shops during my entire career, and when we started going out and traveling, across the U.S. and seeing other shops and how they operate and seeing other repair work, Sean said, you're going to see a lot of stuff that makes you just go like, what in the world's going on here? And he's like, just be focused on what you're there for. And he goes, you can go down a rabbit hole at any given point. He's like, you'll be stuck at a shop for a month if you let it overcome you with how much you're going to see, and just make sure that, everything's on the up and up. I was like, oh boy.
And the thing that was really stunning though is like just the very basics of welding. When we get them in the room and we start walking them through like how to set up your spool and spool tension and, things like that, they have no clue. Nobody's ever taught them any of that. Most guys just say, hey, I pull the welder over, I set one dial to this and one dial to that, and I'm welding. They have no idea. So I'm really glad you guys are doing this welding training, because if we could just get the basics out to the industry and understand how to set up a welder, how to look inside the cover and look at the gauge of steel you're welding and get a starting point. I mean, most guys don't even know that chart is inside the welder,
Well, I think Sean's getting it's amazing when Sean and I do the welding portion, and I do a lot of the MIG welding with the group and walk them through that stuff. You can take a welder and just within 30 minutes, and Jason, I know congrats to you. I'm excited for you for this program. Just in the 30 minutes of working with them hands-on, how much of a difference that would make when you've got somebody that's experienced and knows how, they've been trained, they've been certified, they've been through the testing, to be able to show somebody, hey, this is where you're making your mistake. Simple things like, they always leave the big ball on the end of the spool, and then they go to try to start their next weld. It's like, guys, there's a reason why you cut that off, and here's why.
Yeah, it's the detail that we can get with the phone too. We can get right in it, like you said, Sean. Those numbers where it set it up. It's like, okay, we're welding this material. Okay, let's go to the front of the machine. Let's push some buttons and let's get where we need to be, and let's tune it in. And I was watching one of the guys weld one day, and I could tell he was way too hot. And I'm like, okay, I was watching the backside, and hey, turn that heat down a little bit. I want you to speed up a little bit. You get right when they're right in their ears too. You're like, hey, go a little bit faster, go a little bit slower, change your gun angle. Cool. It was really cool.
Well, I've never met, and I know, Mark, you and your company, you work with techs year round. So besides just the inspections for the OEs, you guys are in their coaching shops. I've never met a tech that just really wants to do a bad job. But I have met a lot of techs that feel overwhelmed with OE information. I mean, that's not easy to understand. It's not easy to navigate. It's not easy for us. I mean, sometimes I remember, Sean, when you came down here for the Honda, there was 3 of us standing around scratching our heads reading the repair procedures. And I consider Sean and Ryan probably 2 of the best techs I've ever seen and worked with and been around in the industry. And I'm just over here in the corner going, my God, if those guys are confused and needing guidance, and we're calling Scott and we're calling Honda and trying to get information, what's the average tech do? So I think that one-on-one where there's no fear, there's no my peers are making fun of me, and that's my voice in their, nobody wants my voice in their head. But that's there's a voice in the earbuds talking you through the research process and coaching you through it. I think if we just get a comfort level with some people and this is okay, I think that alone is going to make a huge difference in the industry.
Yeah. It goes back to that humility again too, and it's okay to go you know what, I think I need some help on this.
Just one comment, Kristen. You just brought something up that I think is really important. I remember when we were doing that thing down at your place, and we tried to get a hold of Scott. Well, he was in China, and then he got sick, all this stuff. But wouldn't it be cool? If you're just the average tech and you have a question you're trying to read, and one of the things we were confused about on that procedure from Honda was they had some grayed out areas, and you couldn't tell if that meant you were supposed to put the adhesive between the panels, between the bottom 2 or the top 2. It was really confusing. But wouldn't it be cool, if you could get a hold of an actual OEM person quickly to get a question answered? I mean, I don't know what the answer is there, but it would be so cool if, they had some kind of an inbox, and I guess they would get flooded with it or whatever, but sometimes you almost have to talk to the OEM person on some of these things. I know we do all the time, right? We call them, and even with us, it takes sometimes a couple days, and sometimes you're lucky to get an answer at all.
Yeah. And Jason, I think without doing it on purpose, Sean might have given you a leeway into Pick a Tech.
He did, yeah. That's exactly what Pick a Tech was designed to do, Sean. So again, between granted, you the 2 of you are a little bit unique compared to the rest of the industry, but I mean, Kristen and Larry, myself, and Mark. I mean, we're in OEM information every single day, and we're learning things all the time. And so, oftentimes we have to go to the OEs and ask for questions and get clarification on it. But we recognize that if we're going to run into that same issue, then technicians are going to. And that's what the Pick a Tech feature really is beneficial for, is they can be right there at their vehicle, snap a picture of something, and say, hey, what am I looking at here? I'm trying to interpret this information. It doesn't make any sense to me. We'll get on the phone with them. We'll exchange pictures. We do the research again, because we typically, I think, know where to look a lot of times when some technicians may not know. We can help guide them there. And if we get to a point where we're both kind of stuck, then we escalate that to the vehicle manufacturer. And they've been quite responsive. Same experience as you've had, certainly. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes, and sometimes it takes 15 days to get some of the things. But I've recognized oftentimes that it's got to go to Japan, or it may have to go to Europe. But for the most part, they've always been pretty responsive. Again, just like Chris mentioned, the technicians, no one intentionally is trying to do a bad job. They always want that information. They're not writing manuals poorly intentionally. It's just sometimes things fall through the cracks, or maybe we write things all the time and we interpret it one way, and then when somebody else reads it, it doesn't make any sense. Same thing happens with service information, but we do have that mechanism to get those answers, and all for under $40 a month.
And I suppose, with you probably run into the same questions all the time in a lot of cases, right? You probably, get the same type of question frequently. It's not like every single question is different. Most guys know. How many questions do you get on an aluminum F-150 box side, right?
Yeah, well, we can try to head some of that off. And I think the one thing that's the Collision Hub family, they're already doing a lot of this research. So a lot of stuff that we do get is a little bit off the wall, because they are pretty proactive, and they're the shops that are looking up the OEM information. And so we do get some of the goofier stuff from time to time. But from every once in a while, we'll get something that someone just can't find something, and we know it's out there, and we'll track it down and share it with them. And but yeah, we get some unique ones and some kind of standard ones. But the Chubb family is pretty pretty on top of it for the most part.
We get a lot of
I
crazy
think it's
ones.
I think it's really fun to look at those procedures and like you find like crazy interpretation, like translation issues and and unusual stuff that you're like, what are they doing? I mean, it's amazing what you see in those procedures. I just love. I got all that open in front of me right now, but I just love looking at those procedures and seeing all the different weird stuff that you come across.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Sean, you're kind of a whack job. Just saying. I do the same thing.
I was going to call him a nerd, but yeah.
Nerd alert.
Jump back real quick and say, back to what Kristen, we're in shops, we're one-on-one with technicians all the time. And, a few things about it. So first thing is that nobody really wants to do it wrong. We know that. I haven't met some guy going, man, I want to hack a car today and kill somebody. That's just not who you run into. So the next thing is we got a language barrier in a lot of cases with, English not being their first language. And second of all, and unfortunately, a lot of people, they're body techs because they didn't do well in school, so they don't even really know how to study. And so one of the things that I'm really encouraged by is that over the last few years, we've seen that people, when people don't know how to read or they don't speak the language, they have this error of superiority, like they're supposed to know, so they don't look stupid. And now all of a sudden people are starting to go, I don't know, and that's okay. And that's kind of a lead of what we're presenting. We don't know everything, and it's okay for them to not know everything and ask for help. And I think we're starting to see we're starting to turn the corner a little bit with that, especially with some technicians that really just get that, and I love it. 2022 cars, I don't know anything about them because I haven't seen them yet,
Yeah. Well, I know we're getting kind of close to the end of the time, and one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about, Jason, before we close this out, is that I did unbolt that rocker panel, so that we were repairing, because we had some questions on one of the shows. Could we show the back side of the panel? And the answer was love to, but I've got it bolted down on the stand, so I've actually got that unbolted, and everybody can see there's zero burn through, zero damage on the back side. Some of the things that even Sean and Ryan were talking about yesterday in their class, but as you can see back here, there's none of that repair, none of those keys went through.
Yeah, and what Chris referred to is the BTEG North America crew was in the other day, and we were pulling some dents out of that rocker panel with their system, and that's the first time I had a really chance to really work with the BTEG equipment, and that hot box, I know we haven't focused on that a whole lot, but that hot box is like the coolest technology I've ever seen when it comes to some small dents, some of those flatter panels and taking stuff out. That was really, really, really cool. But yeah, so that panel that Chris has got there, no damage to that backside. So it's a cool tool as well. And one thing that BTEG North America has done is they are continuing to run a special, a Collision Hub World's Fair exclusive special. So you will not get this deal anywhere else. So visit the Collision Hub Facebook page and follow the information there, and then let BTEG Innovations, BTEG North America, know that you're interested in any of those packages. Like I said, they've got some rock bottom pricing on there for you on their tools. So you definitely want to check that out if you've been looking for that system that you want for some well-done dent removal tools. So you definitely want to check that out, and that will be available for a limited time only. And they've got about 30 units that are going to be available. When they're gone, and you won't see those prices again. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, that's some good. I think everybody's got to have. Well, and that particular kit is recommended by a lot of OEs. On some OEs, it's on their required equipment list to have those tools anyway. But every shop's got to have some repair processes, dent, glue pull, etc. And so for them, some of those kits, Jason, are half price. So from what the list price is, that's pretty good time to be there. Yeah. So I got Alejandro sending me making lots of little messages out there. I'm trying to read back and catch up on him, man.
He's always on it, isn't he?
Him and Rissa, and shout out to Hawaii, because Rissa, she makes our 9 a.m. show, and that's what, like 1 a.m. Hawaii time for her to make that show with us. So yeah.
While you read through Alejandro's his questions there again, I got to get one more plug in for my friends from the Collision Repair Education Foundation, right? So we still have these technician shirts available. we're approaching $1,500 in donations, so which is awesome. Thank you very much for everyone that's contributed to that. And again, Enterprise made a number of shirts available through donation as well. But yeah, we're going to get so you're going to get the Collision Repair Education Foundation logo here. You're going to have a nice Collision Hub logo over here, and then some of our normal sponsors are going to be on the sleeves as well. But your $50 donation to the Collision Repair Education Foundation, through the Collision Repair Education Foundation to support career and technical school and college collision repair programs across the country is what this is really for. But $50 donation you want to use the pull down for Creft/Chubb telethon, and then Brand will reach out to you and get in contact you for your shirt size. But yeah, $50 donation gets you a limited edition shirt. We are going to keep the telethon open, so it doesn't end today. So it's going to make a great stocking stuffer. You want to get those Black Friday deals or that last minute stocking stuffer. These will be available through the end of the year, but yeah, definitely check that out. And again, thank you to all those that you have that have already made the donation and got your shirt. So thank you for that. For your support donation.
Okay, Jason. So now that you gave me the intro, so on behalf of Vico and my hundreds of shops around the country, we will donate $500 to that. Vico.
Awesome.
Boom.
Thank you.
And we don't want any shirts. We don't need them, but we'll absolutely donate.
If anybody wants Mark's shirts, let us know.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Oh, that's all right. So guys, as a wrap up, I'm just going to go because I feel like Hollywood Squares here because Mark's in my top left corner. As a wrap up, what's your take? I don't want to say your takeaway, but what do you want to leave us with before maybe we see each other again the first of next year at a real live event, or maybe we're back with a new virtual event. But what's your passing message?
Well, I'll go first then. I guess it's been kind of quiet.
Okay.
Here. So, yeah, I just really want to thank all of the sponsors of the event for taking time out of your schedules and coming to Arkansas and under extraordinary circumstances. And I know that not everybody was able to come to Arkansas, but we made it work for the 3M crew and for TradyBot and others. But I'm just humbled by the amount of support that the industry has shown for the technicians, for the collision repair industry. It's been great. I'm really looking forward to doing this again. I think it's something that we absolutely should definitely do in the future. And we'll have to get even more creative for the next time. And we've learned a number of things, no doubt about that. But I'm excited about where things are at and what we've been working on. And I just can't thank everybody enough. The vendors, the suppliers, the participants, just everybody that's been involved. It's been amazing.
Mark, what's your passing thought for us?
Well, my passing thought is real simple. So we just spent, I don't know how many hours, but if you go 5 days times 5 hours a day, that's 50 hours of training that took place for right now. And we do this again, there'll be another 50 hours of training. I'm just excited to be part of a new wave of an industry, powered by Collision Hub, that we're actually able to bring real-time, on-time training to people when it really matters. And so looking forward to doing it again in, January, February or whatever, and just continue to do it because things are moving fast and we're going to be right there on time. So thank you, Kristen, for doing it. And I just want to thank everybody else that flew into Arkansas and everybody that went virtual. There was a big coordination event and it was a little crazy behind the camera. Nobody got to see, but wow, it really pulled off and was pretty cool. So That's my thought.
Ryan and Sean, passing thoughts, not just about the fair, but what do you want to leave the industry with thinking about for the next, until we meet again, so to speak?
First of all, congratulations to you, Kristen, and Mark, Jason, Larry, and your whole staff. I mean, you guys did an amazing job. Thanks for what you do for the industry. This is awesome. For those who tuned in to some or all of your programming, I mean, I'd hate to be your competition because you guys definitely are going to have a leg up on your competitors. So congratulations to everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm just glad, we were able to be a part of this, Kristen. We were talking kind of at the beginning, sort of the chaos that ensued with, trying to be a part and provide, some education for this. And I think we're coming to the end of the year. I know you guys have done an extensive amount of work. I know we're all kind of a little on the burned out side, which is why we're joking around today, like, hey, Ryan, like unplug. No, nothing fancy going on here today.
Yeah.
I'm just appreciative of the fact to be a part of this. And one of the mindsets that I've always had as a technician, and Sean would, I think, back this up, is, no matter how good you think you are at something, there's always somebody out there that knows more or is better than you are. And what really will shine in your character and your personality is, what do you do when you meet that person, right? Are you going to deny, we talked at the beginning, I've been doing this 30 years, you can't tell me anything different. Or I would sit down and I'd tell me everything you know. Show me, tell me, do it. And I think what you guys are doing here is great for the industry. I'm glad to be a part of it. I hope we can do more of this, Kristen. I can't wait to actually get down to Arkansas and do some duck hunting and do some stuff. Do some duck hunting. But yeah, thank you guys so much for including myself and 3M as part of this operation for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the year changes over and we get more people in here, and we're not trying to beam you guys in from Minneapolis, St. Paul, down here to Arkansas, and we'll get you in. So it was a great and fantastic 2 weeks. We got to launch the welding program. The Collision Hub LMS launched as well. So there's 28 total courses out there. You can join and start with 14, and these are everything from understanding empathy to crucial conversations, the things you need to have for negotiation, to human resources for body shop owners, and the taboo topic. I even have a class on sexual harassment in there. So there's all kinds of things for body shops, nice tools in the LMS system. And then we have our, 20 groups we've talked about, and we have 5 20 groups right now, and we just launched at the first of this week the 6th 20 group, and that one's on strategic communications. So for body shop owners, it used to be about writing an estimate and fixing a car, and now it's about how you talk and the emails you write and what you do, and how to lessen that administrative load that you've taken on or that you feel you've taken on. That group is launching. They're going to have their first meeting on Monday of strategic communications. That group is led by Blaze, so a fantastic facilitator for that group. If you are in any of our C20 groups already, you're going to get a free chance to attend the first meeting for that. If you're not in any of our C20 groups and you want to learn more, well, you can reach out to us on Collision Hub. You can hit me, Jason, up, or I always tell people to email Holly, because she's the smartest one that works here that you guys never get to see behind the camera. But there's a lot going on as we just continue this virtual, and I love the C20 groups because you have like-minded shops with like-minded problems in the same position. So you have technicians, estimators, the painters, and everybody that's in their own department meeting together from all across the country. So great week times 2. I don't know if I'm going to do this as soon as Mark said. I don't know about January or February, Mark, but I'm going to look a little later in the spring and give myself a little time to recover. But guys,
Kristen, you're probably a little more worn out after 2 weeks of this than you would be for 5 days of SEMA. Just a guess.
No, I totally agree. And that's what I have a new camera guy, and he is ecstatic about how he didn't have to do SEMA, because all of my crew tell everybody SEMA is like the worst experience. I mean, we start working at 6 in the morning. We usually finish about midnight every night with a shooting schedule. And you get, just enough time to get 4 hours of sleep and do it all over again. So definitely, my feet feel better. My back feels better. My liver feels better, maybe. I don't know. But we'll have to think about that one. All right, guys, thank you so much. And that's a wrap for the 2020 Collision World Fair and Exposition. And I got a feeling we're going to see you in 2021 at the next fair.